Okay, so let's dive right in. We're going to be talking about a topic that, a lot of people are curious about, but maybe a little hesitant to try: acupuncture for fertility. We're going to unpack the science, take a good look at the evidence, and really figure out how this ancient practice fits into the world of modern medicine.
Right, let's just get the big one out of the way immediately, shall we? When you hear the word acupuncture, your brain probably just screams needles. And look, if you have a fear of needles, which, let's be honest, a ton of people do, that can feel like an instant deal breaker. But what if the image you have in your head isn't really the reality of it?
I love this quote because it puts the sensation into perfect perspective. We're not talking about the feeling of getting a shot, not even close. It's more like a tiny little pluck or maybe a small pinch that lasts for a split second. For most people, once the needles are actually in place, they honestly feel next to nothing. The whole point here isn't to endure pain, it's about a very, very subtle stimulation.
Let's really break this down, because the difference here is absolutely fundamental. A hypodermic needle, the kind you get for a flu shot or when you give blood, is hollow for a reason. Its job is to push liquid in or pull liquid out, so it has to be thick and rigid enough to pierce through tissue, which is why it can hurt. An acupuncture needle, on the other hand, is completely solid and incredibly fine. We're talking about the thickness of a single human hair. Its purpose is totally different. It's designed to gently part the skin and stimulate a very specific point, not to aggressively tear through anything. They are, quite literally, worlds apart.
So the key takeaway here is to try and shift your thinking. This isn't like a medical injection at all. It's much more like a form of communication. Think of the needles as just these really elegant, precise tools that are used to send little signals, almost like tiny text messages to your nervous system. All they're doing is encouraging your body to kind of shift gears and find its own natural balance.
So what actually happens when those tiny signals are sent? What is your body doing in response to all this? That's what we're going to get into next. The real physiological effects that help build a strong foundation for your health.
Okay, this right here is the primary goal. So much of our modern life keeps us stuck in that fight or flight mode, right? Your heart is racing, stress hormones like cortisol are pumping, you're always on high alert. Acupuncture helps you downshift your nervous system out of that panic mode and into this parasympathetic state, the rest and digest mode. This is the state where your body can finally focus on repairing, regulating, and actually healing itself.
And that beautiful shift into a healing state is what leads to these tangible, absolutely crucial benefits. We see a reduction in chronic inflammation, which we know can seriously mess with your hormones. It improves blood flow, getting all those vital nutrients and oxygen right to the uterus and ovaries where they're needed most, and of course, it directly helps lower those sky-high stress levels. Every single one of these is a major pillar of reproductive health.
Now, all of that sounds fantastic in theory, but here's the real question. Does the science actually back it up? What does the hard data say about acupuncture's real-world impact on fertility?
Okay, so you'll often hear people bring up studies that use sham acupuncture, and sometimes the results get misinterpreted. What's so fascinating is that the sham groups, the people who received things like pressure therapy or even needles that didn't actually go in, they still did better than the control group who got no treatment at all. This tells us something really powerful. The simple act of taking time for yourself, lying down in a calm space, and receiving some form of therapeutic touch is in itself beneficial. But, and this is the key insight, the group that got real acupuncture still had the best results, showing a clear effect that goes way beyond just simple relaxation.
And here it is. This is probably the single most compelling statistic out there. A major study that looked at acupuncture specifically in the context of IVF found a staggering 55% increase in live birth rates for patients who integrated acupuncture into their treatment cycle. Just let that sink in for a second. In the world of fertility, that is a huge potential impact.
So, when you step back and look at all the research piled up, the risk-to-benefit perspective becomes crystal clear. The scale tips heavily in one direction. What you have is a very, very low-risk intervention with a potentially incredibly high reward. That alone makes it a valuable tool worth considering.
Okay, so let's say you're interested. The science makes sense, the risk seems low. So what should you actually expect if you decide to try it? And maybe even more importantly, how do you find the right person to guide you through it? This is so important. You're not just getting treatment for a sore muscle or a headache, you're looking for support for a highly complex hormonal system. Finding a board-certified practitioner who actually specializes in reproductive health means they're going to understand the subtleties of your cycle, they'll know about the fertility treatments you might be on, and they'll get the emotional journey you're on. They will, simply put, speak your language.
The process itself is very structured and really designed for calm. This isn't a rush job. It always starts with a detailed check-in, which leads to a treatment plan that's tailored specifically for you, right on that particular day. Then comes the most important part. You just get to rest. You lie there for 20 or 30 minutes and just let your body respond. It's that simple. All right, let's zoom out for a minute and look at the bigger picture. How does something like acupuncture fit in? Well, it's not about abandoning one type of medicine for another. It's all about building a comprehensive support system for yourself.
This quote really captures the whole modern approach to health perfectly. This is not a battle between Eastern and Western medicine. It's about creating a smart, integrated strategy. Your fertility doctor, your acupuncturist, your nutritionist, your therapist, they should all be tools in your tool belt, working together to support your one ultimate goal.
And that right there is the final crucial shift in perspective. It's the difference between managing a disease and being proactive about your health. Instead of waiting for a problem to get really serious, this approach is all about nurturing wellness from the very beginning. It's about learning to listen to your body's subtle signals and taking action early on.
At the end of the day, acupuncture is just one powerful, science-backed tool that could be hugely beneficial for you. It's a low-risk, high-potential addition to your health journey. And the real question it leaves us with is this: what other tools could you be adding to yours?